Have you ever stopped to think about the strange contradictions in the resurrection story? Let's break it down step by step. In both Mark chapter 16 verse 1 and Luke chapter 24 verse 1, we're told that women went to the tomb on Sunday morning to anoint Jesus' body with spices. But if Jesus was buried according to Jewish customs, this makes no sense. Here's why. In first-century Jewish burial practices, the body would be carefully washed and wrapped in a shroud before burial. Blood, being considered part of the body, would not have been removed. Once the burial was complete, whether in the ground or in a tomb, the body would be left alone. Digging up a decaying corpse to add spices after the fact? That would never happen. Decomposition starts immediately after death, especially in the warm climate of Jerusalem. In ancient times, spices were sometimes used to mask the smell of the body before burial, but they were not applied afterward. Why would anyone prepare spices for a body that's already buried? It's nonsensical. There's no commandment in the Torah about adding spices to a corpse after burial. None. Once the body is in the grave, there's no issue of odor and no one would disturb the dead. Another glaring issue is the involvement of women in this process. Jewish tradition has very specific rules about burial preparation. Men prepare the bodies of men, and women prepare the bodies of women. Women would never anoint the naked body of a man, especially one that had already begun to decay. It would be seen as a desecration of the dead, something that Jewish customs strongly prohibit. So why is this detail in the gospel accounts? It's a plot device. The authors needed a way to get characters to the tomb on Sunday morning to discover that it was empty. The whole idea of bringing spices to anoint a buried body was invented to create this setup. Without it, there's no reason for anyone to visit the tomb. Think about it. The story makes a big deal about the women's actions, but it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Why would anyone go to anoint a corpse days after it was buried? And if spices were so important, why weren't they applied before the Sabbath when burial preparations would have occurred? Even the details about the number of women present vary between the accounts. These inconsistencies are minor compared to the bigger issue. The entire premise is fabricated. What's even more interesting is that the Gospel of John seems to recognize how ridiculous this looks. John changes the timeline and has the spices applied to Jesus' body before the burial, avoiding the need for a Sunday visit entirely. This is a clear attempt to fix the narrative issues found in earlier accounts. The contradictions and unnecessary details reveal how artificial the story really is. It was constructed long after the fact to promote the idea of a resurrection. The spices, the tomb visit, and the angelic encounter, they're all narrative devices, not historical facts. When you examine it closely, it's clear